Welcome back to Worldview. Now back again today on the program is the Reverend Dr. Britt Minshall. He's author of the acclaimed The Jesus Book, a look at the true writings versus distortions found in most dogma. And he wrote an article recently for our UK Progressive magazine, which appeared there, called The Rock and the Hard Place, in which he talked about the crisis in Egypt and the Middle East. And I wanted to have him on today since the news there is not particularly good. We've just learned before we've started taping this that the army plans to release Hosni Mubarak from prison. So I wanted to get Britt's opinions and information on where this all stands. Let's talk a little bit about Egypt. Welcome back to the show, Britt.
Dennis, good day. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing well. Now, Egypt and the broader Middle East, there does not seem to be much hope there over the last several weeks. Let's talk a little bit about the real political and religious tensions and where, particularly with the news today that Mubarak has, we're taping this on a Tuesday, that when Mubarak is about to be released, where you think everything is now headed.
Well, that's news, of course, until you just told me. I did not know that. However, I actually have been hoping for that for months. There's a guy, Pablo Freire, who wrote a book in Latin America back during the days of the liberation theology movement that was trying to overturn the Patron system, which was broad across Latin America, which Spanish, still pretty much purebred Spanish people were basically in charge of the entire country. So it was closed means and human social organisms. And the people at the bottom, it couldn't churn, they couldn't rise at all. Egypt is kind of like the same thing. The military is really the arm of the wealthy and powerful, the ruling class. That group of people passes one thing on to the other. They have revolutions, coups d'etats, but it really is amongst themselves. So last year when we had this populist revolution, which was great. They did what they needed to do, but they still just inherited the same meme, the same human social organism with the same players.
Absolutely. I've heard many of the commentators about this story talk about the fact that, through the 18 days of the revolution in which Mubarak was, in a sense, deposed, the people got what they wanted, but it's now somewhat of a question as to whether or not they got what they needed going forward. And can there be peace if the military is committed to destroying the radical Muslim fringe? I mean, has that worked in the past? I don't think so.
Well, see, there's a second problem. No, it hasn't. And as I wrote in my article, that's where I call it poor Egypt is stuck. And so is much of the Middle East. We have a situation where throughout history, political groupings of people, power modules, love to usurp the national religion. Because if you can put the national religion in the house of the king, and it goes back into the Old Testament, they did the same thing. Ahab had what they called the temple prophets. They were Jewish rabbis type people, and they actually lived in the temple. That was the official religion of the state. We did the same thing during the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance with a thing called Christendom. And what the Pope was basically in charge of okaying any king's assent. So everything was mixed together, state and church, and that's why America's founders were so adamant. The Christian right in America has decried this for the last few years, saying that they didn't mean it. But Dennis, they meant it. Our founders had just come out of 200 years in Europe with their aunts and uncles and mothers and fathers butchering each other, one in the name of Catholic and one in the name of Protestant, all trying to get political power. And America's ace in the hole. And boy, the one thing we've got is that separation of church and state. And I've been yelling for it for years, make sure it doesn't die. And remember, I'm a born-again Christian, okay? So I fought my own people. Again, I'm an outsider. So now we go to Egypt and Iran, and actually through that entire area. And if what you can say is maybe evolutionary-wise, they're 400 years behind us because they haven't learned that lesson. They tried to model it on Christendom, but it could be called Islamdom. And they try to mix this religious and political thing together, like the Brotherhood, become a political party. But the military is right to be concerned because if they take power, the Islamic Republic will come about. That means there will be no more democracy.
Oh, absolutely. And your statement in the article was really quite prescient. I mean, you said that if the military tolerates the Muslim Brotherhood or Islamist parties, it means the end of democracy. And if they put the Brotherhood out of power, it means democracy has failed. So where does Egypt go from here?
I wish I could answer that. I've been involved with people that have been in the same mess. There was a fellow in Florida who married a lady who had already told him she was going to kill him. And she kept trying, so he killed her instead. And now he's in prison. So we've got the same problem in Egypt. I would say that if it could be done, if you could convince them to do, the Islamic faith needs to, not just for Egypt, but for the entire history of Islam, because Islam's being destroyed by their political connection, needs to get together and make a statement that Islam is not a political power and that they do not want to outlaw other religions, if you would, and put that pressure on all of these people throughout the Middle East to stop using the name of Islam. I might add, the Jews in Palestine need to do the same thing because the Orthodox Jews have mixed the politics altogether with a theocracy, saying that this land is God's land and God gave it to us.
Well, time is going to tell how this all ends up. And I always tell people that democracy is messy, not necessarily ideal. And Egypt did in 18 days what it took the U.S. almost 4 years to accomplish. And then they needed 11 more years to get a constitution in place. And some would argue they ain't there yet. Egypt's had only 2.5 years. So thank you for taking the time to join us today, Britt.
Wonderful. God bless you guys over there.
The Reverend Dr. Britt Minshall is the author of the Jesus Book. It's available on Amazon and Kindle, and he joined us today from his home in Baltimore, Maryland. You're watching Worldview with Dennis Campbell. Keep it right here.